If your brain feels like it is constantly scanning the horizon for the next disaster, you are not alone. Our minds often default to threat scanning and hypothetical worry, looping through dozens of negative scenarios before we even get out of bed. This constant state of panic is an automatic survival mechanism misfiring. Our neurology evolved to keep us alive in dangerous environments, but in an age defined by extreme uncertainty and endless information, that alarm system often stays stuck in the on position. We feel helpless because we pour our mental energy into trying to control a deeply unpredictable external world. To fix this, we look back 2,000 years to ancient Rome. This was a volatile era, defined by warfare, sweeping plagues, and political chaos that could upend a life in an afternoon. Living through that chaos, philosophers like Seneca realized that we are not disturbed by external events themselves. We are disturbed by our internal views and judgments of those events. The Stoics engineered a mental operating system. Today, clinical studies show that adopting this framework physically rewires the brain, using the same mechanisms found in modern cognitive behavioral therapy. In fact, the founders of modern psychological therapies, like Albert Ellis, seen here, explicitly built their clinical practices directly on top of Stoic principles. Building an inner fortress doesn't require us to ignore reality. It requires upgrading how our minds process distress, using 3 specific tools. The first major trigger we face is hypothetical worry, the act of agonizing over external circumstances we have no power to change. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus solved this using a principle called the dichotomy of control. This rule mandates that you take every task, fear, and worry in your life and separate them into 2 strict categories. The outer circle represents things entirely outside our control, like the news or traffic. Focusing energy here creates suffering. Shifting to the inner circle, we find what is completely within our control, our routines and actions. Redirect your energy here. Drawing this hard line between your sphere of influence and the external world reduces the cognitive load on your brain. By focusing only on what you can change, you deactivate the cycle of chronic stress. The second trigger is catastrophizing. This happens when the mind freezes on a hypothetical worst-case scenario and refuses to move past it. The countermeasure is a practice called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of adversity. As practiced by leaders like Marcus Aurelius, this means actively imagining upcoming failures, delays, or difficult people. You perform this mental rehearsal at the start of your day. You picture the tasks ahead, specifically visualizing the moments where things could go wrong. Look at this chart mapping emotional habituation. We see a sharp initial spike when confronting a fear, but over repeated mental exposures, anxiety progressively curves downward. This illustrates decatastrophizing. Instead of freezing at the worst-case scenario, you ask, what realistically happens next? By systematically confronting feared events in your imagination, you strip them of their power. You teach your brain that even if the worst happens, you have a path to survive the outcome. The final trigger is rumination, the trap of agonizing over past regrets or hypothetical future terrors. The Stoics fought this using prosoche, or attention. It requires isolating only the immediate present difficulty and confronting it directly, without distraction. In modern psychology, this mechanism is known as cognitive distancing. Cognitive distancing creates a separation between what we are thinking and what is actually happening in the physical world. You learn to observe your thoughts as separate from yourself, rather than experiencing them as physical threats. Forcing your attention strictly to the present reveals that anxiety is often a story you are telling yourself. In the current physical moment, right here and right now, you are safe. The ultimate promise of Stoicism remains relevant. You cannot control the chaos of the outside world, but you possess sovereignty over your own mind. Utilizing these 3 tools daily trains attentional control, your brain's ability to balance emotional signals with rational thinking. High level of attentional control acts as a shield against emotional dysregulation. Anxiety is a visitor, not the master of the house. By treating your mind as a fortress, you ensure that you can navigate any storm with clarity and acceptance. Thank you for watching. If you found these tools helpful, please subscribe to Rise Standard. Leave a comment below letting us know which of the 3 Stoic practices you plan to try first. Until next time, stay resilient.